Hey, welcome to Live from Dennis's house. Today we are going to be doing the Chicago Transit Authority. And my guest is my other favorite cousin-in-law, Marianne Capuano Bolduc. Did I say your name right?
You said my name right, in America.
Good.
If you were in France, you'd say Bolduc.
Oh, really?
But we're
Okay.
not.
So, yes, we got a lot to do today. We're going to be doing rants of the week. Not just a rant, but today I got plenty of rants for this week. And then we're going to be doing news, reviewing the album. We're going to be talking to Marianne. She's got a lot to say. And, so we might as well get right into it. So, we're going to lower the music for a little bit, and then we'll get back to that. And, we didn't even hold up the album. Let's get right into this. This is the Chicago Transit Authority first album released in 1969. This is the album we're going to be doing today. So hold on to that. We'll get back to it. Don't
smell it yet.
No smelling yet. That comes later. So we're going to get right into the rants of the week because election day just happened. We just passed election day. And everything is all better now. Have you noticed that? Did you notice the streets are now paved with gold? There's a chicken in every pot. That everybody's happy and wandering around, and happy days are here again. Did you notice all that taking place?
No.
That's right, because it's all BS. Nothing's going to change. Nothing's going to happen. And actually, this is my favorite kind of election because now it's a stalemate. So nothing's going to happen, which is I find to be good because nobody can do anything stupid to really F up the country. So now everything will just stay as is. We got plenty of laws. We got plenty of things going on. So we don't need any more laws or anything. Just go on smooth. Because did you know that we don't really even have a democracy? That's a common misnomer. That it's actually an oligarchy. I heard someone talking about this, and I researched a little bit. Okay. And an oligarchy means that the rich pretty much run the country, that they influence everything that happens in the country. And I believe that's 100% true. That when was the last time a poor person got elected to an office? Abraham Lincoln, I think, was the last poor person that got elected. Because if you notice, even in the cities, the poorest city in the world, there's no poor people getting elected there. There are rich people who are lawyers who become richer by stealing from the poor people that they're supposed to be working for. And they throw them a dime here and there, and then they steal even more.
Well, I think some of
Very
them
well said. Yeah.
I know some of them don't start out wealthy, but they have.
No, everyone starts out wealthy.
It's the money being thrown into them to get them elected. So now, basically,
look at every. Interrupt here. Every senator, every congressman, every governor, every mayor, every president has been a millionaire or a billionaire. I'm going on record as saying that.
Okay.
And I defy anyone to give me different news than that. Say that who is the poor person. All right.
But I'm not going. I don't.
You're going to have to research it.
I have to research it. I'll come back and we'll discuss it next election
part
day. 2. Yes, part 2.
So and everyone, nothing's going to happen. Like I said, it's locked in there. There's no one that the world is waiting for. Oh, we got to elect this person. They're going to change everything. And there's nobody like that. So you don't have to worry about that. And if anyone ever gets in like that, who's really going to change something, who's really the caring person who's going to change the world, you know what's going to happen to him?
They're going to get assassinated.
Exactly. So there you go with that.
Having had been in politics for a short time, I will say that many people do go in with the purest of intentions.
See, I always wondered about that. I actually did wonder about that.
We really do. We go in because we truly think we can make a change. However, it's hard to meet the needs of everyone, and then you have everybody pulling at you. So sometimes you take the path of least resistance. Sometimes other people, more not so honest people, will take the path where paved in the most
because I always thought about that. Is anybody go into it with good intentions and then the whole system just swallows them up, and then you just have to get anything done?
I really do. Most of them go into it, and it's just a, I'm not going to say a corruption. It's
the whole
just
system is
something-
corrupt, absolutely.
Yeah,
And that's
it's
why.
inherent. It is still, I hate to say it, the old boy network, and that's where all the
Like
they're still pulling all the strings.
and that's why it's an oligarchy. That the
That's
rich,
right. So we've come
see,
full
yeah.
circle. That's what it is.
Yeah, so that was it. It's over. But I can't understand why they can't get along for the good of the country. Why can't these people who represent the people just say, all right, let's put our differences beside us. Let's get to work. And they used to do that, a little bit
everybody
back.
has different needs and different wants. If you have money, you want to hold on to your money. If you don't have the money,
you want the
other person's money. So it depends who's representing you, and that's what really comes
exactly,
down to,
and that's the problem.
So
that what people don't understand. If you just all work together, you make this a robust economy. You pay off the deficit, and then you go forward, and there's money for everybody. You just got to work hard and get it. There you go.
Okay. Utopian society. That's what we're talking about.
And I also believe that a huge percentage of politicians are sociopaths. That 1% of the country or the world, whatever it is, 1% of the country, let's say, is a sociopath. But I believe in politics, it's like 90% of politicians are sociopaths.
It's a lot of ego. And then it makes them crazy anyway.
So I'm going to do a show on that one time. I'm going to do because actually I have this all planned. I'm going to do a Charles Manson show because he actually recorded an album. So I'm going to do that album, and I'm going to do a whole show about sociopaths.
Okay.
And we'll get more into that as we go.
Alrighty.
But did you ever see, I don't know, recently they've been showing this video where a cat is playing with a squirrel. And they're having the best time, So if a cat and a squirrel can get along, why can't a Republican and a Democrat?
Because they're told that they can't.
Well, cats and squirrels are not supposed to get along either.
Well, but they talk to each other.
It's instinct that they hate each other. Cats and dogs, squirrels and cats. But animals seem to be coming together more than humans now, except on this show. Republicans, Democrats, liberals, conservatives, everyone's welcome on this show.
Okay.
It's the show of inclusion. I'm not supposed to be even talking about politics. I don't know how you got me onto this.
No, I didn't get you onto it.
People, let me tell you about my best friend. She's a warm-hearted person who loved me till the end. People, let me tell you about my best friend. He's a one-boy, cuddly toy, my up, my down, my pride and joy. People, let me tell you about him. It's so much fun. Whether we're talking man to man or whether we're talking son to son, 'cause he's my best friend. Yeah, he's my best friend. La 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 ya. La 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 ya. Beep bo bo bye. Rub a dub beep bo bye. Rub a dub beep bo bye.
However, the album is a very political album. The album
Is it really?
we are doing. Oh my gosh! The Chicago Transit Authority is a very political album.
We're not ready to talk about that yet, so I still have to talk about some more stuff.
Okay. Come on.
That another thing I want to talk about that I did not vote in this last election because I stated on my last one I'm never voting again, but I may rethink that. I don't know. But the thing that gets me is that if I educate myself and I know everything about politics and I know who to vote for and why, that my vote counts the same as every other dumbass who votes for a political candidate because it's a woman, because the candidate is this, the candidate looks nice, or the candidate whatever. It has nothing to do with politics, and they just vote. Because that another video, I'm going to put all these videos up too, that this other video showed a Polytech University poll. They were polling college students, and they were asking them all these questions: who won the Civil War, who's the president, the vice president, and they didn't know. And then they asked them who's Snooki, and of course they knew. So
don't get me started on that.
We're actually too dumb to vote. We shouldn't be allowed to vote. Most of us are too dumb. So we're gonna have to.
You have a point there.
Yeah, exactly.
You do have a point there.
Major, who won the Civil War?
Who won the Civil War?
We did? The South?
Like the one in 1965, or
What Civil War?
Who won it?
Who was even in it?
Who was in it? Just tell me who was in it.
Ooh, I don't know.
Why you make me do this?
Who won the Civil War? Yeah. Oh my God. Wait, I'm drawing a blank. It's one of those things. I feel like I'm on the Jimmy Kimmel Show.
America? I don't know.
That's the Confederates, right? I have no clue.
The Union. The North. Yes. Okay. Okay. So who is our vice president?
Don't know.
I have no idea.
Of right now? I don't know.
What's his name? Oh my gosh. I have his name in my, his face in my head.
Who is the vice president? Is that like a trick question?
Nope.
Okay. I don't know. I have no idea. I have no idea. Don't know.
Joe Biden. Yes.
I don't know.
You're not the only one. A lot of people don't know.
No, but I still feel
Okay, who did we gain our independence from?
These are horrible.
I have no idea. Do you know what year we happened to? Absolutely not.
I couldn't tell you.
So like 1677 or something like that.
And what show is Snooki on?
Jersey Shore.
What show is Snooki on?
The Jersey Shore.
Jersey Shore.
Jersey Shore.
Jersey Shore.
Jersey Shore.
And then who is Brad Pitt married to?
Angelina Jolie.
Angelina Jolie.
Angelina Jolie.
Angelina Jolie.
Angelina Jolie.
Angelina Jolie. Angelina Jolie.
And who was he married to before that?
I think it was Jennifer Aniston.
Jennifer Aniston. Jennifer Aniston.
Jennifer Aniston.
Awesome. Thank you.
I think that humans are the worst thing to ever happen to this planet.
Okay, I don't want to interrupt you, but I bought you a present. I think this is the appropriate time to give you this present.
I always like presents. Let's see what we got here.
Because
this is the first guest to give me a nice present. This is awesome.
This is my favorite show. Because you touch on a lot of things that are...
Wow, look at this. This is awesome. This is perfect. This is a book. Let's see if you can read that. It says, "In my humble opinion, a journal to vent about why people are like that, why all the stupid things they do are so obvious to me." That's awesome.
And there are all these great quotes from Stephen Wright to Albert Einstein to all of them, and then you can keep
see, this is like a perfect, like this one right here. This quote from Lord Byron: "All men are intrinsical rascals, and I am only sorry that, not being a dog, I can't bite them." See, this is perfect. I'm going to read one of these at the end of every show. That's going to be perfect. That's awesome.
Talk about the gene pool without having lifeguards. That's Stephen Wright.
Yeah, so that was perfect time, because now as I'm ranting and raving about how humans are the worst thing to ever happen, and that, but I have to say, in spite of all of this and all this political nonsense, we have to remember it's the small things in life that get us through.
That's right.
You can't worry about the politicians. You can't worry about this and that, otherwise you'll drive yourself crazy. Right. You just got to worry about a child's laughter, drinking pina coladas in the rain, and your friends and family and all that other stuff. And
looking at a sunset.
Yes.
The green trees against the blue sky.
All right, let me ask you a quick trivia question. You know the pina colada song?
Yes.
I like pina colada.
Getting caught in the rain.
Who sings that song? No one knows that except me.
Oh, no, I do know that.
No, you don't. Rupert Holmes.
Oh, Rupert Holmes. I knew it wasn't Jerry Rafferty. He's the Baker Street boy.
Yes. All right. So now we're going to come to the point of the show. I'm done with my rant for now. I got other things I might want to talk about. But let's talk about Marianne Capuano Bolduc from Brooklyn, New York, who now lives in New Jersey. But, so you've a very interesting life here. Well, first, let me ask you, what made you pick this album? Chicago Transit Authority, first album.
So many things. We could spend 3 hours on this album.
You got 20 minutes.
Okay, I hate using the word quintessential, but this album is the quintessential soundtrack of my life. This album has it all. It was philosophical. It was intellectual. It was political. It had well, great, forget the music. It was wild. It had noise on it. It really, truly was a reflection of what was going on in the 60s.
Yeah, there was a lot going on in 1969.
You know, so much of it was political. Plus, it had horns. And for me, I kind of think that this album musically might have legitimized rock and roll. Once you start introducing horns into a rock band.
They were the first band to do that in this, well,
no, because you had
Blood, Sweat, and Tears. Ah, very good.
But the thing about Chicago, they were more experimental.
Mm-hmm.
They really went in all different directions. I mean, you had the actual members in the band, because prior to that, you know, it was all about the singing and, you know, the vocals.
Mm-hmm.
But this, they actually used the brass as part of it. Was lyrical. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And then you had that guitarist, one of the greatest guitarists.
Mm-hmm.
You know who he was?
Yes, absolutely.
And
Terry Kath.
Terry Kath.
And did you know that Jimi Hendrix? Did you see about that?
Do
know
that
what they
Jimi
said.
Hendrix said that Terry Kath was better than he
Yes,
was.
I couldn't believe when I read that. I never heard that before, but I just read
on
it.
this album, there's that free-form guitar.
Yes.
Which is
I don't know what the heck was that going.
It was considered noise. It was noise music.
Yeah,
I mean,
we're gonna
this
play that.
album truly blends. It's a perfect fusion album. It's got jazz. It's got blues. It's romantic. It's lush horns. And me personally, started my love affair with horn players.
Yes, because you were married to Miles Davis for a few years,
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
Back
Now
in,
I divorced him, and now I'm married to Chris Bodie. So
I don't know who that is. Who's that?
Chris Bodie is probably the premier trumpet player out there today.
Oh, really? Wow.
Oh, yeah, he plays with all the great ones. He started as a jazz musician, but he's kind of gone mainstream, like Chicago. They sold out.
So, like you said, back to this album, it has everything on this one album, and you can see the progression of Chicago through their career. It starts out with this album, and it's so much different stuff, and they have these awesome hit songs on here, as well as this crazy jazz stuff and blues, and but they at each album, I believe, they got more and more poppy, and they had huge hits in the 70s, you know, with all of these songs that everybody knows. But then as the 70s progressed, and then it got ridiculously, you know, I don't know, yeah. So I lost track of them by the end of the 70s. They're still together now, and each album now has after this one, it didn't really have a name, but then starting with one, I forget which number, they started putting Roman numerals on it. So each one was 3, Chicago 4, Chicago 7, and then they were up to 40 or something now. Yeah, right?
40 something.
They're still together now, and you know,
they're still playing.
I don't know what they're up to, but did you ever see them in concert?
I did see them in concert, and I'm trying to remember the year it was. It was one of the worst dates I'd ever had, unfortunately. But we were there. It was an outdoor Chicago concert, and I'm thinking
that was with
Louis
Louis Armstrong. You were dating at the time, right?
Yeah, I was dating Louis Armstrong. Actually, probably Herb Albert and the Tijuana Brass. Yeah, it was everybody partied in those days. I mean, 68, 69 was the worst time in this country.
Yes,
we had race riots, we had anti-war riots. That is actually on this. That they take footage with that popular, you know, that popular chant. The whole world is watching. I remember that. I was 15 years old, and it was all over when, you know, the anti-war demonstrators at the Democratic Convention. Very political again. And the police started, as they did, started beating on the demonstrators, and they started the chant, the whole world is watching.
Wow.
And those were very, very powerful times in American history.
I was home playing with my G.I. Joe with the Kung Fu grip at that time. Like, one thing I want to talk about, you actually saw the Beatles at Shea Stadium, right?
I did, yes,
well, let's talk a little bit about that.
My sister was a huge, huge Beatle fan, my older sister. And we had been going to the Murray the K fan club, and we were able to get these tickets. So when they came over for the Shea Stadium, my sister got us the tickets, and I remember she paid top dollar for them, and she bought 4 tickets, and my sister went, her best friend, and my father took us. and we got there, and you know, it was, you couldn't hear anything, you couldn't see anything. They were about as big as that big, but it was, you know, you were just so caught up in it. You know,
must have been amazing.
It was amazing. You know, the fun was seeing them come out of the helicopter and run onto the field, but you really couldn't hear anything. But it was just being,
it was just you. Were you one of the girls screaming the whole time, crying? I don't know. I have video of you screaming and crying, which I'm going to show.
That was my sister, and my sister wasn't even one of the worst ones. The best was watching my father. He's just sitting there like all the other fathers, saying, "Oh, look at her, she's crying. Oh, look, she's fainting." You know, things like that. But I was a very cool kid. You know, I was very much of an observer, and I wasn't a huge Beatle fan. I was. I know, sacrilege. I love George Harrison.
Jacques.
Right now, you know, to me, it was as my father used to say and still says, God rest, you know, God bless him at 92 years old. It was like watching a bunch of monkeys, like Dire Straits said. You know, look at those you know, monkey, chimpanzee banging on the drum. And to me, I was more of a music purist. I loved jazz even at a very young age.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
Wise beyond your years.
I was wise beyond my years. So the Beatles, to me, it was later on I really started appreciating them. It was just like, you know, 3 guitars and a drum. So that's why when Chicago introduced legitimate instruments,
the best of all worlds.
Oh my gosh, it was, you know, that's why I chose this album.
Also, you were telling me one time that you were involved in the advertising world. So you were like in the Mad Men world back in, what was it, 60s, 70s?
No, I'm not that old.
I don't know.
Old I am. I kind of came at the tail end. I was one of the pioneering sales women. I had worked for Condé Nast. I worked for Vogue, Glamour, Mademoiselle, but I sold advertising space at House and Garden because I was at the right place at the right time. They needed women. All these companies were getting lawsuits. Like, you know, we're all these, you know, you're all men. Where are the women?
I
so
watched
here
I was,
yes, at 23 years old, and I was already working for House and Garden, and they thought I had a nice personality, and I was smart enough, so they, you know, asked me if I thought about getting into sales, and I said, yeah, okay. So I did, and it was tough, and they, you know, it was great. Just by virtue of being a woman, I would go in, I'd get a sale like that. And then I went over to Women's Day, and that was the big time. That was.
That must have been interesting.
Was
it anything like Mad Men? Was it like guys drunk the entire day?
No, that was, I think, prior to my time. See, we were magazines also. I once did get chased around. I did. I got chased around the desk by the publisher. He's of House and Garden in those days. I was still a secretary, and he literally chased me around. It was like I would run this way and he'd run that way, and he died soon afterward. I think I gave him a heart attack. No, I didn't.
I bet.
But
that was the heyday. That was the best time to be alive. It looked like to be.
By that time, the women had, you know, we weren't, you know.
I guess to be like right after World War II, up through like the Beatles. I guess the best time to be a white male was that time.
Exactly.
You got to do whatever you wanted. The world was your oyster.
Women were there
drinking, pinching women.
Exactly, pinching. You know, I think I still have black and blues on my butt from being.
You know what would
pinched.
happen if a man pinched a woman that worked out?
He'd get decked. You know, but I was a feisty little thing.
Yeah.
I was. You know, the same publisher had offered me a job, and he said if I had done his bidding, I could have had any job in editorial that I wanted, and I think my comment was like, forget it. I'd rather be, you know, clean
rather
bathrooms.
work at McDonald's.
So. But McDonald's was open in those days.
All right, so let's keep things moving here. Let's we'll keep coming back and forth. But I wanted to do my Ebola report, and I've been doing a weekly Ebola report, but nobody cares about Ebola anymore. We're done with that.
Move on to the next disease.
Move on.
We have to go on to the next disease. Okay.
Yes, we'll wait for a good new disease coming out, but so far nothing. But what else did I want to talk about? I want to talk about... Let's talk about, you're from Brooklyn, right? So let's talk about hipsters for a little while. What do we know about hipsters? That
they wear tight pants.
Exactly. That there's this movement, and the center of it, I believe, is Williamsburg, Brooklyn. But it's like there seems to be no music involved in this movement, and the movement just surrounded by beards and skinny jeans, right? Mm-hmm. That every other movement there ever was, there's rock movement, jazz, beatniks, hippies, punks. There's always been music, grunge, whatever there was. There's music. This is the first movement that has no music.
That's because they're pretentious posers and boring.
Yeah, it seems like nobody likes the hipsters either. They're really annoying. I heard some guy talking about, like, what's a hipster? And he says, if you see a grown 30-year-old man on a skateboard in Brooklyn, that's a hipster.
Yeah. Yeah, they're, you know, my daughter is of the hipster age, and a lot of her friends went, you know, that way, and she, no.
Same thing. I was talking about this with my nieces and nephews around this age, and they can't stand hipsters. So who are these hipsters? Everybody hates them. I have yet to actually meet a hipster, I think. So I would like to have a hipster on my show. So any hipsters out there, be sure and write in. I
could maybe hook you up with
one. Hook me up with a hipster. I like to do a hipster show. But I don't know what album I would do because there's no music involved with it. So.
Yeah, they're very negative people.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Maybe Bob Dylan. Maybe they could do, you know, a blood. They fancy themselves as very intellectuals. So maybe early Bob Dylan, maybe the Blood on the Tracks.
Yeah, I got a lot of Bob Dylan. I would love to do a Bob Dylan show. So all you hipsters, write in.
That could have been one of my choices, but no, I relate to this one because.
So and then what else I want to talk about? Oh, that Lauren just had her 14th. My daughter Lauren had her 14th birthday party here, right? And just the other night, Thursday night, and I allowed boys to come to the party. The first time ever. And
really?
Yeah, so there was like 30 kids, 15 were boys, 15 were girls, right? So I was planning on coming home from work early so I could get into my wife beater t-shirt and clean my guns at the kitchen table, right? When these boys came in and they see no shenanigans going on here, right? So anyway, I was planning on doing something or giving them dirty looks and, you know, letting them know that there's no shenanigans. But then when I went out and the boys were here and I looked at them and they looked just like such scared little boys. They were so small and they looked like little boys and I felt bad and I said, oh man, I was expecting someone like me when I was 14 to come out and stuff, and these were just nice little boys, so I didn't have to worry about it at all.
You know, for the past 29 years I've worked in a middle school, and through the years I find that kids are more protected, they're more sheltered in you know, in nice communities, and you're in a very lovely community also. I find the kids less mature, less sophisticated, not as wild as you were.
Filthy animal, diseased beast like I was.
But I think that's what you might have seen that night.
Yeah, that's what I've seen. Sweeter. Kids are actually getting better since we were kids. Definitely, you know, from me and my friends, we were diseased beasts.
Yeah, you were that age.
So, so I'm glad to see you. There's hope here that things are getting better.
Because it is your generation that are doing the right parenting.
Yeah.
And you're raising these children to treat each other with respect. And you know, we have in school, you have all these bullying seminars,
no bullying,
and you can't do this, and cameras usually all over the school. So the kids can't get away with what they did when you were in school.
Yeah, absolutely.
And when I was in school,
God.
Forget it.
All right, now we come to the point of the show where we're going to do our call-in segment.
Ooh, okay.
So, let's see. The first letter comes from Herman Capone from Northbrook, Illinois. He writes, Dear Live from Dennis's house, what do you like better, Chicago or New York style pizza? Well, I'll take that one. That see how it all plays together. The band Chicago. They're talking about Chicago pizza.
You, right.
So I have to say this. The answer is unequivocally New York pizza. Chicago pizza sucks. It's not even pizza. It's like lasagna. It's like comparing chicken pot pie to pizza. The New York style pizza is the greatest thing that the world has ever been given. And I couldn't live without pizza. I could live without a lot of other things, but pizza is so good I could eat it every single day and not get sick of it.
That's right. And I think Brooklyn pizza is the best.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, the worst Brooklyn pizza is better than any pizza you get anywhere else.
That's true.
Okay.
So, well, let's move on. Next question. Dear Live from Dennis's house, from Bruno Battaglia from Brooklyn, New York. He writes in, Hey, Marianne, do you remember me? We went to the prom together. Color My World was our prom song. I wore a powder blue tuxedo, and the theme was From Here to Fraternity. Do you remember him?
No, but actually, my date was Andy, and he became a priest soon after the prom. But it's interesting about Color My World.
Yes.
I went to an all-girl Catholic high school.
Oh yeah! Wow,
Oh God,
I didn't know
yes,
that.
yeah. I went to an all-girl Catholic high school, and there were 9 homerooms, and we had to choose. Our prom was at the main ballroom at the Plaza. We didn't fool around. So every homeroom had to pick a song, and I think 7 of the 8 homerooms wanted "Color My World." I hated the song. I thought it was a drippy song. It was a terrible song. But well, what was his name again? Maybe I did go out with him.
Bruno Battaglia.
No, never went out with the Bruno. No.
All right. So our last question comes from Claude Musselman from Redbud, New York. He writes in, does anybody really know what time it is? I'll let you answer that.
Really care?
That's very philosophical, don't you think? That nobody really knows what time it is.
Know what time it is.
In daylight savings time, Eastern Standard Time, it's just a concept that we made up. There is no time.
There is no time, and and we've been around forever.
Exactly.
There is no time. Absolutely.
Think about that. How deep this show is.
This is very deep show.
Yes.
Very
All
deep.
right. So now let's get back to the record review. Now we're going to review this album and wrap it up. So, we got to do the smelling of the album. Imagine what a tragedy that would be if we forget.
Oh my gosh.
Is it good? I can't wait. I look forward to this. It's my favorite part. That's a good one.
That's a good
nice.
one.
Very good.
I have an 8-track of that.
Oh,
too.
really? Oh, you should have brought that to show. Yeah, a lot going on in there.
We have a lot of 8-tracks.
A lot of pictures. It's weird, though. The album, the front cover has a tiny little picture, and then the back cover has a giant picture.
And they had to change their name after that.
Yes, it's so funny that originally when they came out, they were the Chicago Transit Authority, but what happened?
They got sued.
By who?
Chicago Transit Authority.
Exactly. So I'm surprised that the city of Chicago then didn't sue them and say,
I was wondering about that.
You got to change it to something else. Do you know where they were from? I mean,
Chicago.
Very good.
They all went to school in Chicago. Okay.
Yeah. So let me go
They
through
stayed
this.
close to their roots.
We'll play this stuff here. Let's see. This is the beautiful song here.
This was one of your best.
Great song. They had a lot of hits, and this next song is called "Beginnings." This is a very good song as well.
I think.
Yeah.
This was my favorite.
So we're going to rate this album now. That of all these songs, that's something very interesting. That both of their first 2 albums were double albums. That's never been done before or since. That is shocking to me. But let me go name the songs that are on here now. We got Does Anybody Really Know What Time It Is, which we just heard. That was a great song. Introduction, it was pretty good. Beginnings, This Is It, it was a great song. On side 2, questions 67 and 68. People might not know.
I love that. Yeah, that's
People might not
one.
know that by the name, but when you hear this song, you're definitely going to know it. That it's a very good song as well.
Do you know what the song? What they named that song?
No, I don't. Why?
Because it was about a relationship Robert Lamb had in 67 and 68, and the relationship wasn't going very well. So that's why he was saying,
He wrote,
tell me, or don't tell me.
Question 67, 68, right. So, and then the next song is Listen and
That's
Poem.
a good one.
You know, they're pretty good.
Oh,
And they got I'm a Man, which is a radio classic. Everybody knows. So, I'm going to have to say, and then like we were talking about before, I want to play that a little bit. The
Freeform
guitar. That it's really... At this stage of the game, it's really just nonsense. But back in 1969, it must have been something cool.
Yeah, it was like something that just what Jimi Hendrix was doing.
Yeah, and as we said, that if Jimi Hendrix said you're better than me, there's something there.
Oh, he really was an amazing.
See now, so we'll go out with this, but it's just really a bunch of noise. So I'm gonna have to say that out of 5 stars, I'm giving this 3 stars. That if this was a single album and they had the nonsense off of it, it would have definitely gone up to 4 stars, maybe even a little more than that. But What are you going to say here?
I agree with you. If they left off Freeform Guitar, if they left off
This is their number 9,
track,
Revolution number 9. This is what this
yeah,
is.
if they left off Liberation.
Yeah, they had
and
a lot of stuff
Someday.
that you don't want to hear.
But South California Purples, that is a fabulous song.
Yeah.
Also, it's very, a lot of lush trumpets and brass, and it's got everything. It's very bluesy. It probably the most bluesy song on that album.
Yep.
And I think it could be my favorite.
Oh, really? Wow.
Wasn't a hit, but then...
What number was that?
That is...
It's on side 4?
Side 3.
What's it called again?
South California Purples.
Oh,
it's right after Freeform Guitar.
Is this it?
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds really good. Yeah, I like this. All right, so we'll turn this up, and this is what we're going to go out on. So, yes, this is album. It's definitely 3 stars. Could be more if you only listen to the hit songs,
but see,
then the good songs.
This is the beauty.
Yeah,
You're
this is good,
hearing
too.
the guitar and the horns playing off each other.
Yeah, listen to this. I might have to listen to it again, and I may reevaluate and give it 3.5. So, we'll see. All right, well, that's it. Our time is up. Go out and buy this album. Hold up that other one, too. Block the view. This is Chicago Transit Authority, and then Chicago. And thank you for coming on, Marianne.
My
Very
pleasure.
good.
It's my favorite
Glad to hear
show.
this.
I love this show.
So,
Been a fan ever
hold
since.
up our cup. Live from Dennis's house. See you next week.